He is the chairman of the Small Business Committee. We know Linda McMahon has got that cabinet secretary position. Congressman, welcome back.
Hey, thank you very much. It's always great to be on your show, Brian.
Thank you. And, of course, in Ohio, we're on WHIO, and that's where you, of course, are from. Congressman, first off, the vote, can you tell everyone in layman's terms how important the vote is in the House today?
Yeah, it's very important. It sets up the repeal and replacement of Obamacare. And President-elect Trump yesterday tweeted out something that we should have been talking about this more than we did. The Democrats called this thing the Affordable Care Act, and Donald Trump cut right to the chase yesterday and called it the Unaffordable Care Act, and that's exactly what Obamacare is. It's really the mother of all over-regulations in this country. And what's going to happen this morning is actually this afternoon, where the debate is happening right now, the vote will take place this afternoon in the House, is we will be voting for a budget, and the budget, we have to reconcile a bill with the budget later on, and the two together repeals Obamacare. I know I'm getting into the weeds here, but the problem is over in the Senate, they can filibuster anything. So the Democrats would filibuster, and you'd never, ever have a vote on repealing Obamacare. That's what they would try to do, except during reconciliation when you only need 51 votes. So that's what they need over in the Senate. So they passed that yesterday in the Senate. Now we passed it today in the House. And what it does is it sets up the repeal of Obamacare. That's what's happening. And probably that was way too much, a little in the weeds there, but that's the procedural thing we're going through today, Brian.
And then we'll find out when if Congressman Tom Price the nomination is confirmed, we'll find out what his program is.
That's exactly right.
Congressman Price, the doctor, that has another plan. There's a bunch of replacement plans. We'll see what'll work. Congressman, your focus is on small business. You're chairman of the Small Business Committee. What do you think could be small business people listening right now, maybe as they work, need some relief, need some attention? What are you doing?
They do need relief. There's been a rampage of regulations that came out under the Obama administration. We have hearings every week in the Small Business Committee. We have folks from all over the country come in, mostly small business folks, and they're saying they're just being killed by more and more red tape and regulations. So we're going to repeal as many of those things as possible. What Donald Trump said recently is he would like to see us, for every new regulation the bureaucracy puts out, let's repeal 2 of them. I'd like to up the ante and repeal 3 of them for every new one that we put on. Now, in the House this week, we've already got started. We're not waiting for President Trump's inauguration next week. We passed a couple of major bills in the House that deal with small business. One was called the Regulatory Flexibility Improvements Act. Sounds like a lot of words, but what it does is it says that whenever the bureaucracy, whether it's the Labor Department or the IRS or whomever, if they're going to pass another rule or regulation, they have to consider both the direct and indirect impact that it's going to have on small businesses all across the country. And that's the small business folks have been screaming about that, wanting it, and now we're finally going to get it across the finish line. And Obama was going to veto it if it got to him, so the Senate would never pass it. Now we know we have friends in the White House. And the interesting thing is the Vice President, Mike Pence, was a member of the Small Business Committee when he was a member of Congress, and he was a co-sponsor of this legislation. So we don't have an enemy in the White House anymore. We've got friends.
I know one thing you have is minimum wage. Minimum wage strangles small business. They want to give merit raises. And when you have minimum wage, everybody's wages go up. And if you have a very small margin of profit margin, you actually pay for the life of the business oftentimes. And number 2 is Obamacare. You get over a certain number of employees, and you maybe have to, or a certain number of hours, you have to offer insurance. You might not have the budget for that insurance, so your business model no longer works.
Yeah, people that come up with these plans that they think are trying to help people oftentimes have just the opposite effect. The folks that they're trying to help or claim they're trying to help are the folks that actually lose their jobs, or the job that they sought has been done away with. people that were working full-time, the company can't afford it anymore, so they put them on part-time and take their benefits away because the business wants to survive. So that's what over-regulation by the government does. We're now, with this new president coming into office and a Republican House and Senate, finally, the things we've talked about for years, we can get done, and that's going to help small businesses all across the country and therefore help people to be hired by those small businesses.
Have you talked to Linda McMahon yet?
Yes, talked to her, congratulated her right after she was appointed. We're looking for great things. I have to say the previous small business administrator, we worked together on a lot of things. So she was actually pretty good. But we can't wait for Linda to come in. She's going to be great.
What about the president-elect?
Yes, have talked to him and Mike Pence a number of times. Mike and I actually ran the first time back in 1988 at the same time. We went to campaign school together. There actually is such a thing, although it's only over a weekend. And we both lost. Although I was elected about 6 years later, I came in the revolution with Newt Gingrich and the contract with America, and Mike came in a few years after that. And he's been just great. Obama likes to brag about Joe Biden and gave him the Medal of Freedom yesterday. Mike Pence is going to be, I think, one of the most incredibly effective vice presidents that we'll have seen in American history.
I know it's an easy time if you're a Republican. Who cares about Democrats? But Mike Pence has shown an interest. He was there yesterday or the day before. They're blending together, meeting with those from Democrats. Is there a sense that maybe the page will turn? The Clinton years, you guys at each other's throats, the Bush years at each other's throats outside 9/11, and then, of course, this has never been worse as has the last 8 years. Is there any sense among Republicans and Democrats that you got to get together on something?
I'd like to see that happen.
Have you seen it yet?
We should reach across the aisle and work together. Unfortunately, however, if you look at the top, if you look at what President Obama has done, they talked about a smooth transition, but he set traps and landmines all across the shameful betrayal of Israel, for example, right before Trump's coming in office. That's something that really can't be undone to one of our most important allies, and banning oil exploration right as he's ready to go out the door. So hurting our energy supply in this country, this land grab out in Arizona and Utah. So Trump has been doing things. Generally what a president does is assists in the transition and tries, not to mess it up for the next president come in. But unfortunately, President Trump has been making it even more difficult for President Trump coming in than it ought to be.
Finally, Congressman, you have a situation now with a president-elect coming in under constant barrage of people who don't believe he actually won. Now the latest one, an inspector general is going to look at what James Comey's decision was it a good, solid decision leading up to the election. How do you feel about the inspector general getting involved now?
I think it's a waste of time, personally. I do think that making sure that we protect ourselves from being hacked by the Russians or the Chinese or the North Koreans, or the Iranians, that's important, no matter who ultimately was hurt or benefited, from this Russian hacking, for example. So that we do need, I think, to be tough with Russia and make sure that they don't do anything like that in the future. And I think sanctions are in order for that type of thing. But I think this Comey thing is just one more thing which the Obama administration has done just to screw it up for the incoming Trump administration, and I think that's unfortunate.
Congressman Chabot, thanks so much. Best of luck, and tell everyone in Ohio I said hello.
Will do, Brian. And hey, I can't wait to read your new book on Thomas Jefferson and the Barbary Pirates. Jefferson, he attended William and Mary, and I did too. So I'm a big Jefferson fan. I can't wait to read your book.
And by the way, I'm coming down there. My daughters are both playing in the Jefferson Cup, and we always love to go to the William and Mary campus. One's in 10th grade, cool. One's in 8th grade. So I'll try to steer them that direction. Do you mind if I throw your name around?
Absolutely, and Williamsburg's just a beautiful place to go.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, you have this quote from Jefferson's inaugural, which I understand means a lot to you, and you keep in mind: a wise and frugal government which shall restrain men from injuring one another, shall leave them otherwise free to regulate their own pursuits of industry and improvement, and shall not take from the mouth of labor the bread it has earned.
That's right. Let people keep what they've earned. Don't overtax them. And he even uses the word regulate. Don't overregulate them. That's what the current administration has done. We're going to change that starting next week.
All right. Thanks so much, Congressman.
Thank you very much, Brian.
1-866